It seems like for every comic book superhero or heroine there is, there's always a male or female counterpart that eventually shows up. For Superman, there was Supergirl. For Batman, there was Batgirl. The Hulk had the She-Hulk, as lame as that was. And now, even though they're not really directly related or even a part of the same comic book universe, Blade has BloodRayne. It's the same idea. Half human, half vampire, hunting the vampires, trying to prevent the vampire apocalypse. The original BloodRayne came out in 2002. It was a pretty straightforward action game. You were this vixen-y vampire hunter cutting up evil Nazi vampires in the 1930s. Kind of a neat concept, you know, Nazis and vampires, two things you hate and you want to stab. Now it's 2004 and BloodRayne 2 is here. And even though it's set in the modern age, it's still basically the same idea. You're the vixen-y vampire hunter and you're stabbing vampires. When we last left, she had just taken it to her father, the evil vampire Kagan. Now it's 70 years later, it's modern times, and she's on the hunt for all her many siblings. See, her dad was kind of like a Rolling Stone type, went around, fathered a whole bunch of pure-breed and half-breed vampires, which sort of formed this like cult-like thing, the cult of Kagan. Rain soon learns that basically all the siblings are kind of getting together in one spot and are plotting to sort of create a vampire apocalypse by creating this sort of substance called the Shroud. Basically what the Shroud does is it kind of covers the whole sky with this blood-infused chemical thing and makes it so vampires can walk around in the day, which for you and me, Johnny Human Guy, that's bad for us. So obviously Rain is out to save the day, save humanity, kill all the vampires and what have you. The main thing about BloodRayne's gameplay is that it is pretty much style over substance, though it's not a totally shallow game by any means. Basically, Rain has these two blades that are kind of attached to her arms, which she can use to just sort of like cut people up, and she's got these wicked kicks with these spiked boots that, you know, will equally shank people. And you can kind of put both the blade attacks and kick attacks into various forms of combos. She also has this chain she can use for sort of like a projectile attack, which she can use to fling enemies every which way. And then she has blood-powered guns. Wait, let's say that one more time. Let's milk it, shall we? Blood-powered guns. They're called the Carpathian Dragons, and they basically feed on blood to fire, and you know, it's work like any other gun otherwise. When you run out of ammo, if you start firing the guns, it starts draining Rain's health ability. Thankfully, there are all sorts of bad guys who are willing to donate to the cause. Basically, Rain's other primary attack is a feed ability, where basically any vulnerable enemy can be fed upon. So by pressing the button at the right time, you'll jump in and just start go straight for the jugular and start drinking that fool's blood. However, while you're doing that, you can also basically stick the dude with the guns, and that will basically power up the gun. Once you're done with your blood donor, basically you can just kind of throw them away, or you can use one of 12 different execution moves, which are appropriately gory, shall we say. You can just kind of stab them in the stomach, you can behead them, or you can just pick them up and start spinning them around and just slice them up. There's all sorts of horrible, gory things you can do to bad guys, and it's all pretty hysterical. Fortunately, this isn't the only way you can kill people in the game. Rain has a whole host of other abilities and sort of context-sensitive actions she can use to kind of just sort of take care of all the random bad guys throughout each level. For instance, one of her abilities is she can kind of slide down rails and pipes and things that kind of move at a downward angle. And while she's doing that, she can stick her blades out and just sort of cut these dudes as she's going down. She can also use her chain attack to basically fling enemies into various level-specific sharp objects somewhere. Flinging the enemy into that will just stab them. The remainder of Rain's abilities are actually a little too overpowered for the modicum of challenge that the game presents you with. Rain also has this little meter that sort of goes below her life meter that sort of monitors her blood power moves. Some of these include just a blood fury move that it makes her blades much more powerful and makes her practically invincible for as long as the bar has anything in it, period. There's also a bullet time effect. There's an aural vision thing that kind of lets her see enemies around corners and where hidden entrances are and things like that. The thing about this is that it just makes the game super easy with these abilities, because pretty much none of the grunt enemies can stand up to Rain as it is, even just without any of these abilities. And as soon as you turn on the blood fury, it's over, period. They can't attack you, they can't do anything, and the fact that your meter just basically goes up every time you shank someone, it's too easy. BloodRayne 2 also has some polish issues, namely it's kind of buggy. There's some animation problems where animations will just kind of glitch out and say a guy's on the ground, then suddenly he'll be standing immediately back up with no transition in between. There's clipping problems, both Rain and other characters will kind of clip through doors and walls and stuff like that. We actually got stuck in a part of the level once after getting blown back by an explosion, and we couldn't get out, so we had to restart the entire level after that. Apart from the animation glitches and clipping problems, the game looks very good, though. I would go as far as say it looks pretty great. The models all look pretty cool. You know, they're a little derivative of standard comic book action fare, but for the most part, you know, they're neatly designed and they all kind of have their own neat aesthetics to them. The environments are all pretty nice. They kind of have the sort of urban gothic feel that the game seems to be going for, and they're all pretty much destructible all around. You can just kind of break everything in a level, and that's pretty cool. There's some frame rate problems on both versions of the game. For the most part, the voice acting is pretty good in the game. Rayne has plenty of clever little quips she'll throw at the enemies right before she stabs them horribly. The end result of BloodRayne 2 is a very stylish but not necessarily a great action game. It's fun. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do, like with just the various kill attacks and the context-sensitive stuff, and just, you know, all the neat, stylish moves that Rayne has at her disposal. And it's a pretty good story to boot. Unfortunately, it's just very straightforward. It's not hard at all, and you should be able to just kind of breeze through it in 10 hours or less. If it had more polish, it would be a better game, period. But as it is, it's still a fun game, and if you enjoyed the original BloodRayne, this one is definitely worth checking out.